Hello, this is Jürgen with the FIBO training. Today's class is Semantics for Large Banks, an overview and introduction into the FIBO Data Model. And its application is an open banking accelerator. So this course originally came from a presentation for a large European bank who was working on the Payment Services Directive PSD2. Okay, here's the FIBO education track, and you should have completed the first 3 lessons here, no? Semantics for managers, project architects, and in particular here Semantics for finance users, a deep dive into the FIBO 15 concepts. And then here we can see it kind of branches off, no? Semantics for mid-sized, large, and extra large banks. However, the class is fully applicable for investment funds as well. No, it's just the example is in banking, but the rest is for all financial institutions. And also here, the asset size is just a rough indicator. No, it's coming originally from the EDM Council membership tier. And it's also part of the FIBO license prices. However, it doesn't mean that if you have 200 billion in assets, then you shouldn't look at mid-sized bank and you shouldn't look at Excel banks. No? So the difference here just is that Excel covers the transformation technology code. And whereas here our lesson today has an open banking example. So every bank is different, and in practice what I do is we cover all 3 lessons and we just move faster when content repeats or is not critical to you. Yeah, a word about the creators of the FIBO, the EDMC and Object Management Group. So the Enterprise Data Management Council is a global association of over 200 financial institutions. They teach data management best practices and develop data standards. Probably you have taken part in or are familiar with the data management capability assessment model, no? And also as a standard for finance, the EDM Council published the Financial Industry Business Ontology. Now looking at the Object Management Group, also well known, no? Over 220 large member organizations, and they developed the UML, BPML, DDS, and SysML standards. And the latest OMG standard is the Commons ontology library. Commons as opposed to FIBO. Commons is for all industries. So now the two have merged. The EDMC acquired OMG as effective of October last year. And the combined association is the world's largest non-profit trade-setting body for data management. So the FIBO is both a business model and a schema. And the EDMC calls it a business conceptual model. And it was developed by our members to describe financial instruments, business entities, and processes in the financial industry. And this is what, in my opinion, makes FIBO so great, because it's members, banks, investment funds that worked with the EDMC ontologist to define the standards. And the council specifies the model in the Resource Description Framework, RDF, no? And ontology web language. So the ontology enables you to specify for sample data, values, and complex constraints, and that is beyond the conceptual data model. And this makes the FIBO the authoritative model for financial industry concepts, their definitions, and relations. And EDMC members, mainly large banks and investment companies, developed the FIBO as a business conceptual model, and it has almost 2,500 classes that detail loans, financial instruments, business entities, and processes. And the FIBO imports OMG Commons as an upper ontology. In other words, for all classes and relations definitions that are not specific to the financial industry. And the financial industry business data model, it has almost 3,200 entities and includes the complete FIBO semantics and documentation. And we created the FIBDM using our patented configurable ontology to data model transformation code. And you can find the patent on Google Patents or on the United States Patent and Trademark Office website, and the number is 120383939. There's a chasm between semantic and conventional data management. So on the left-hand side, we have the EDMC, specified the FIBO in ontology web language OWL. However, OWL needs highly specialized ontologists. FIBO is comprehensive. It has detailed coverage of business entities, loans, securities, derivatives, indicators. However, many banks and investment managers don't have the semantic expertise in-house yet. Large financial institutions started implementations on RDF triple stores. However, IT departments must still support and design conventional databases. And here FIBDM is the bridge across that chasm. So we have the FIBO knowledge graph in Irwin, Power Designer, and other data modeling tools. FIBDM and the FIBO are the industry standard. And the Enterprise Data Management Council endorses the FIBO data model on its website. And 3,500 users, among them 162 banks globally, downloaded the open source core version already. And I guess your bank has data architecture team has the model downloaded in Power Designer, maybe migrated to Irwin already. So semantic enterprise information architecture, where we can look at the IT landscape by its use, whether it's for business, design, development, the type, is it conceptual, logical, physical, implementation level, and whether it's for enterprise, department, or projects. And what you have today already, you likely have data models and you have RDBMS. And also you have XSD for messaging, you may have process models, and you probably have object models in UML. Now what's new is the FIBO, and that the FIBO deploys on RDF databases. And with FIBDM, we have the FIBO available as a conceptual data model. And also in the future, we can generate out of the FIBO class models and XSD. And we have the FIBCM, the FIB concept maps, which are in sync, aligned with both the data model and the ontology. So the path to SEIA, also in this year, adopt the industry standard, the FIBO and its data and concept model. And then progress to train data architects in OWL customize the FIBO to become your enterprise ontology. And then with that, you'll achieve semantic enterprise information architecture. And the benefit of this path is that we have an immediate return on the investment using the FIBO content and design patterns from day one and not in 2 years from now. And it's easy to learn a new language like ontology web language and the tooling if you already know the content and design of the model. FIBDM is the FIBO in Power Designer, Irwin, and other data modeling tools. It has 3,173 entities, complete FIBO definitions, annotations, and axioms, now the business rules. And data architects leverage the full content of the industry standard. And what we achieve with that is to have a common language and design patterns for semantics and relational data. The ontology transformed into a data model leverages design for relational databases. So at the top, at the apex, we have the FIBO in RDF OWL, and the FIBO deploys on triple stores, RDF databases. RDF stores for knowledge and analytics, but it doesn't work well for transaction processing and core banking. So we use the configurable ontology to data model transformation. We derive a data model from the FIBO FIBDM, and then we can leverage the industry standard for our relational databases. Yeah, an Atlantic COD is a way to semantic enterprise information architecture and model-driven development. No? And I mentioned already, this is based on the 2025 Q4 release, and there we have almost 3,200 entities. Now that makes FIBDM the world's largest data model. Financial industry business can be described with 15 fundamental concepts. And in FIBCM, the concept maps, they all have a name, an icon, and an abbreviation. And 90% of FIBDM entities are a subtype of the concept entities. And in the ontology, these 15 classes, most of them defined in OMG Commons, are only subclass of the thing. And the other 2,500 classes are subclasses of a concept class. And that's enough to visualize design in user-friendly concept maps. And if you want to dive into that deeper, I recommend the class Semantics for finance users. Here we have an open banking example, the European Union's revised payment services directive, the PSD2. And that standard diagram has 4 actors and their interactions, their relations. And in the FIBO, these are modeled as a role. And in FIBDM concept maps, we use the mask as a symbol. And we see here there's a national competent authority, in other words, a supervisor, who certifies third-party providers and enrolls the account servicing service providers. And now here's a payment service user that maybe you as a tourist in Europe, you use a third-party provider, which would be the point of sale, and that provider requests payments from the account services provider, and who would then in turn validate the service user. Yeah, and then we can expand the scope, in other words, adding more detail to the concept maps. So all roles have an identity, that's the agent here. And in our example here, the payment services user is a person. And it has typically a photo ID, which is the concept of reference that identifies her. And an agent can have many roles. Now, it may also be a third-party provider requesting information from another bank. Yeah, so the fundamental concepts and standardized vocabulary establish a direct correspondence between the map and the data model. So on the left-hand side, we have another example of a depository institution which is registered and which is incorporated as a stock corporation. It has a legal entity identifier, issued capital, and an address. And on the right-hand side, we see the data model that we can scope from the concept map. No? And here the circled entities, these are the elements in the concept map. No? So we just identify these entities in the model and then establish the connections via the supertypes and associative entities. There's full transparency for your 50M evaluation. So you can explore the open source Power Designer model 50M Core. You can study the education resources, including this lesson. You can examine the just two more tips. Semantics for finance users explains 15 fundamental concepts for non-technical audiences. That's a real deep dive. And then we have scoping, our first data model that shows how to transform a concept map into a Power Designer and how to create a project model. And for the resources, you find the presentations in MS Office Online on the 50M website, and the YouTube channel has this and all other videos in the course. Well, thanks and enjoy the ride.